Hello gamers, Alan Wake 2 has just dropped, and is this the game of the year? Keep watching to find out. Before we get into the game, why not like and subscribe to the channel? Interesting gaming videos coming out here often. Alan Wake 2 is the sequel to the original Alan Wake, with the big difference between the two being the shift from an action adventure to more of a survival horror. The game is now more Resident Evil-like. Now don't be concerned, there is still plenty of action and gunplay, however the game has taken a much more immersive route. You're still very much in the third person perspective, but the gameplay has been slightly slowed compared to the original. This helps emphasize the added depth and deeper atmosphere. You will very much be smelling the roses as you experience Alan Wake 2. Now this game doesn't fall into the trap of other lesser titles, where they only slow down certain elements for emphasis, leaving you with a feeling of fake realism. Here, the entire experience goes at a walking speed and doesn't sprint, just like in Resident Evil, but to a much more deeper level. The best motion capture technology has also been used to give you truly realistic character animations. Not only does the world move and act to an extremely believable level, but also sounds the exact same. Every tiny sound effect has also been added in for that hyper-realistic engagement. Absolutely everything, right down to the sound of your polyester windbreaker ruffling as your character shifts around tight spaces. The realism and immersion are done so well, this game borders on being a VR title. Now the game features a lot of systems and mechanics from the other previous Remedy title, Control. It is very similar to Control, but at a more realistic and easygoing speed. There are a wide variety of weapon choices and unlocks available. Now the game doesn't directly allow you to change player stats. This is a survival horror after all. However, the player can find various charm items throughout the world that affect their stats, increased health, increased chance to stagger enemies, and many more. No automatic health regen here, but various medkits and other items to replenish lost HP. Once again, similar to what's found in Control. There are also plenty of puzzles and other quick time events to keep you constantly on your toes. The biggest new mechanic is the Mind Place. Yes, that's what it's called, and it sounds super lame. This is a sort of inventory / database screen that allows you to interact with various pieces of information the game has given you, whether this be case clues, general game information, and other gameplay critical tidbits. It's essentially a representation of your mind in action as it tries to figure out what's going on in various stages of the game. Now, the story begins with the player assuming the role of Saga Anderson, an FBI agent sent in to investigate strange murders happening in the sleepy little town of Bright Falls. Her senior partner, Alex Casey, is portrayed by the enigmatic writer Sam Lake himself. You two then work together to try and solve these horrible crimes. The game features a lot of introspective, psychological elements similar to other Remedy games, especially Control, but once again at a much deeper level. Now, the best part of Alan Wake 2 is the realistic immersion. Everything in this game has been well thought out and taken to that ultra realistic level, almost VR. It's really fun to take everything in, stop and stare at the lovely scenery, plus be in a game world that moves at a slower pace, a small country town pace. The character animations and interactions are also all at that amazing Remedy level, very similar to Control. As your character walks, runs, jumps and crawls, it's very fluid, it's very smooth, it's very realistic. No popping or janking here. It's so cool to see your character use their hand to open a box, grab what's inside, and then even use that item, all represented realistically and visually right before your very eyes. It's super impressive. Your character also doesn't just magically pull weapons and items out of thin air, they're all somehow attached or carried and are realistically equipped. The immersion is again fantastic. The story and dialogue is also quite good, very much at that Remedy level you've come to expect. Conversation flows and seems to exist in a world where time isn't important. Now, the biggest negative of Alan Wake 2 is of course that realism and immersion. But hey, isn't that what makes this game so awesome? Well, let me explain. As mentioned previously, this game is ultra realistic. However, that ultra realism comes at a cost, and that's the core gameplay. Most games sacrifice realism because it just isn't all that fun, exciting, or interesting. Sure, it's impressive, but fun it is not. At the end of the day, this is a game to be played, not a film to be watched, which is sadly what Alan Wake 2 is. It's a very enjoyable interactive movie, but not quite a game. There will be people out there who will no doubt love this title, but they are the few. The rest of us want a game to play, as we already have enough films or shows to watch. My biggest complaint is that you'll be playing 5, 10, 15 minutes and have basically done nothing but hear story. You'll just be like, let me do something, let me shoot something, let me do anything at all, and the game will be like, no, you must listen to this deep introspective prose. And you're just, oh my god, Alan Wake, stop boring me, this is a game, not a movie. As this game excels narratively and being story driven, the action and gunplay is extremely limited. It is still very good, it is superb, just as good as what's in Control, however there isn't much of it. And once again, we're playing a game and not a crime-solving simulator. Overall, this is a more unique title than most, but also very few will be able to enjoy it, as most gamers want a game to play rather than an interactable movie. This is the sort of game you play with and only with your girl. She's like, hey, let's spend time together. You're like, sure, let's do Alan Wake. She can play the walking, no action, crime-solving parts, and you can do all the combat, and that can be your thing. And this will be your game, only played when you're together. But most people, whether solo or with the boys, will not find much enjoyment here in Alan Wake 2, as it's just too slow, it's not challenging, and it's just not much of a traditional game. To be honest, the original Alan Wake did the exact same thing. I didn't finish that one, got bored after a few hours and never went back. And this is exactly the same thing, but way more realistic. Absolutely loved Control, however, the other title from Remedy, but that was a full-blown, non-stop action-adventure title. Played that game like 3 times in a row and even got the DLC. It was so much fun and awesome, whereas this is a yawn fest. Unless you're the person who has a 1000 IQ and are just too smart for regular games, you should avoid Alan Wake 2. But if you need a game for you and your girl, this could be okay. But for the rest of us, the gamers, wait for an 80% off sale, because more than likely you'll play it for a few hours, see how cool the realism is, and then also not finish it due to the boring ass gameplay. Very much looking forward to Control 2, but Alan Wake simply puts me to sleep. My game of the year still is very much Returnal. That is an amazing game, easy game of the year. Check out the video here. And thank you for watching.